Yeah, I think so. Without further delay, I will just go through the basic of blockchain, what exactly is happening behind blockchain. So before moving to that, please don't confuse between the Bitcoin and blockchain, because Bitcoin is just one application. Just the purpose is just one application. Blockchain is the actual technology, which is the underlying technology behind Bitcoin. We will see in detail what exactly is the difference and what exactly is happening. So just consider the computing world. So we can categorize computing world into either a centralized computing world or a decentralized computing world. If you are not familiar with the equations that are, at least put two figures. So first figure, I think you can see like it's a classroom where there is a teacher. This is just like how this class is going on. So the teacher can decide what have to be taught in that classroom, or the teacher can decide the subject, the way of teaching, all of it she can decide. The second classroom, you can see like there is no teacher. That is, students can do whatever they wish. They can play, they can study, they can throw jokes, play games, whatever they wish. So from your viewpoint, which classroom will be better? Say the first one or the second one? First one. Why? Yeah, the answer is the second one. I'll come to that. So in some are actually answering like the first classroom is better. Why? Yeah, it's organized. Very good. That any other? And there is a control of all the parties. Say like the teacher have a control of the entire classroom. Very good. Any other? Yeah, it had a good management, or the management capacity to find the time management and all of the classroom management. Okay? So yeah, somehow mentioned like the second one is better. Why the second one is better? Because I prefer the second one. And that's what blockchain is. That's why I prefer the second one. Anyone who support the second one? Yeah, why? Why are you preferring the second? Exactly. There is no single point to control. Yeah. It can do whatever you wish to do. Then what else? Oh, pardon? Exactly. Creativity, or you have more freedom than a single point of control. You have more freedom to do things. Very good. Then what else? It is difficult to trace. Okay, I agree to that. We will come to that in detail. Very good. Anything else? Okay, so let's see the first figure. That's a centralized system, which is how most of the current systems are actually working. So like you may be familiar with the database system for the normal client server architecture, where you always have an administrator or a central authority, and based on that, the other systems will be working. So for example, this is a lab. We'll be having a server, and all the clients or the client machines in this lab will be connected to that particular server, just like your normal master slave system server. That is what happens in database and all other clustering. So here, as you mentioned, the advantage is like you have a single point of control. You can decide whatever things you can do. But the problem is like there is also a chance of single point of failure. If the central system is going down, none of the systems will be working. So like you have seen the examples with WhatsApp and Facebook also. Say if the WhatsApp server is going down, across the world, the WhatsApp service may not be functioning. So that is a challenge of centralized system. So like there are possibilities where the single point of failure can happen. And one major thing is like, if that teacher is not genuine, or if that teacher itself is an attacker, then the entire classroom can be. Suppose I am assigned to teach blockchain and cyber project here. So I'm coming to this classroom, or suppose I'm not coming to this classroom. What happens like there may not be any session on blockchain and cyber for, or if I'm coming to the classroom and teaching some other things, say like I'm teaching networking or I'm teaching database, what happens is like the classroom may not be getting the action. So this is one of the major challenges in the centralized system. But still, till date, I would say more than 90% of all the existing systems are following the centralized system. Now, in the decentralized system, with the figure itself, we can figure out all the drawbacks of it. But the beauty is like, if all these systems, so if all these students can function in a coordinated fashion, so that they can do whatever things there is. They can play, they can tease, they can do whatever things there is. As you mentioned, it enhances creativity and it enhances a lot of different possibilities. And if that can be synchronized properly, then it will be more better than a centralized system. That is, there will not be any single point of failure. You can get the access 24/7. No one can actually completely hack the system. So there are a lot of different advantages of that decentralized system. But I'm sure by this time you may not be agreeing with me because there are a lot of problems also with it. So in this session, we will start with the decentralized computing because blockchain primarily is a completely decentralized system. That is, there is no single point of control, or there is no single entity to control the entire network. So that is how the blockchain systems are actually working. We will go through some very small assignments within this workflow so that you will familiarize how things are actually working. Okay. So consider the second figure. I say, for example, suppose I'm not physically present yet. You all are here, just like the second classroom. Okay. There is no teacher. Say the blockchain and cryptocurrency for this session is not happening, and you are within this classroom. Okay. Maybe some of you may know each other. You may be classmates or you may be colleagues, but some of you will be completely new to this classroom. Okay. So what can be the procedures which you can do? Say like if you have friends, maybe you can interact with your friends. If you're completely new to this classroom, you may have some different versions. Okay. So think of the scenario. I'm not physically present here. The slides is no here. There is no blockchain or cybersecurity forensic session here. What you will be doing for the next 1 hour? What are your choices? Anyone? Maybe everyone will be having their own choices, but just tell you, please. Yeah, you can definitely make friends, or you can go for a movie. Then what else? Yes, please. This is not a technical thing. You can tell whatever comes in your mind. Yeah. Exactly. You can simply talk with your friends. You don't have to worry about blockchain or forensic. A very good answer. Then anything else? Go out and play. You can play cricket or football or whatever you wish. Okay. Yeah. You can definitely surf your mobile phone. That's one another point. So I think I have just gathered a couple of points, and each one of you are having your own individual taste. There's someone wish to play, someone want to go for a movie, someone want to check mobile network. So you can see the complexity of this kind of network. So if it is a completely decentralized scenario, the network will be very complex to maintain. Okay. And in the forensic perspective, so think of networks which are completely decentralized. It will be very difficult to track and trace these kind of scenarios. Say the best example is a torrent network. I think most of you will be familiar with torrent networks. Why you are actually using torrent networks? Apart from downloading movies or videos, have you used torrent networks beyond downloading movies or videos? How many of you actually use torrent networks? Okay, I think all of people in this class. And the major purpose was downloading movies, right? Anything else? Yeah, it's anonymous, of course. But have you used anonymity on torrent, or have you used torrent networks for anything other than downloading? Okay, so torrent networks was one of the most popular decentralized network, or rather a peer-to-peer network. So peer-to-peer network means that everyone is equal. There is no authority, there is no single administrator over there. It actually started with the famous Napster file sharing system. Napster was one of the earliest file sharing system. Then came the BitTorrent. BitTorrent was the most popular torrent system, which across the world people are using for distributing pirated softwares, movies, videos. As we mentioned, you can be anonymous. There are sealers and leechers. So while I'm downloading a software or while I'm downloading a movie, I'll be also uploading some amount of data packets to others to share. So it was very difficult to track and trace the systems. I think you may have heard about maybe your phones. So you might have heard about the stories of torrents and all. It's very difficult to track and trace all the servers across the world. Even if you're going to take down some of the servers, they can actually get activated from other servers. So many of the illegal activities, say like the drug trade, the pornographic industry, all those illegal activities were primarily focusing on the decentralized network, to be frank, the torrent network. where anything which cannot be coming under legal frameworks can go to the decentralized system. So people obviously feel like the decentralized systems cannot be used properly, or the decentralized systems cannot be used with proper traceability or with proper forensic background. And that is where the blockchain networks comes into play. So as you all know, the blockchain started with the very famous or infamous cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. Started back in 2008. I'll come to that. So I would say blockchain is not a new technology. Blockchain is somewhat an old technology, or it's actually a combination of the earlier decentralized network, which is there with the Tor network, so the peer-to-peer network, and it added some of the mathematical algorithms and cryptographic computing. So please don't misunderstand blockchain as a completely new technology. It's actually a perfect mixture of some of the existing systems blended together in a proper fashion. So just to give a quick introduction, blockchain is nothing but a public and decentralized storage of value. That is just like an open book. Say, consider this blackboard, this white screen in the classroom as an open book, and say this is a blockchain network. So all are equal in this classroom, which means like anyone can come and write whatever they wish in this particular book. So that is the scenario with a blockchain. But there is one condition. If you want to come and write in this board, you should have the power of 51%, or you should have the agreement from at least 50% of the participants in this class. I cannot come and write any nonsense in this board. I should have the approval of at least 50% of the class. So this was one major thing which the blockchain introduced into the decentralized network, which is called as a consensus mechanism or agreement. That is, you actually work in terms of a mutual agreement. I'll give an example. Just think about a football match. In local football match, there is no referees, there is no scorecard or anything. Suppose it's a 7th football match or a 11th player match. As you know the thing, say like there will be a small ground, you'll be having a board, you'll be forming your own team out there. And how is the score maintained? Like if one team is scoring a goal, there can be disputes or there can be settlements in between. And you know, like all the players on the ground have to agree to that score. If the score is 2-1, and if one team is telling like how it is not 2-1, it is 2-2, then there will be the clash. Either the game will stop at that clash, or the game will carry forward if the majority agrees with 2-1 or 2. Okay, so that is the case with most of the local matches, whether it is football or cricket or whatever with a game. You don't have any action replays, you don't have any third umpires, or you don't have any match replays. The players will have a consensus, or all the players in the classroom will have it, and based on that, the network will be work. Okay, so the blockchain is also using the exact same human behavior, because this is a common human concept. Say if there is a traffic block, or if there is some other things happening, people will come in and consensus to solve that particular issue. That's a normal biological process which is happening. So same as that, the thing is also happening in blockchain. There is a public and decentralized mechanism where anything which is recorded will be on the base of this agreement. Okay. So if you want to come and write something on this board, which means that at least 50% of people in the classroom agree. Okay, you can come and write in this board. We are with you, or we support your voice in this. And one important thing is like once you write something on this board, or once you write something on the blockchain, you cannot modify it or you cannot delete it. That is the importance of blockchain, because everyone in the classroom will have the same copy of data. It's not like a single repository, or not like a single server mechanism. Each one of you is having its own copy to your on a database. Suppose, say, I have 50 members in this class. If I want to tamper the data, or if I want to change the data, I have to go to each and every one of you, rewrite it or modify it and write the new data, which is quite impractical if you have millions of nodes or thousands of nodes across the world. So that is why people started accepting blockchain as a technology, as a network, or as a data store. That is, once you write something on blockchain with this agreement mechanism, or with this consensus mechanism, which means like the data lies as such, you have the complete trust and transparency no one can edit it. That is an immutable data store and it's a tamper-resistant data store. Now I think you will gain some relations with the forensic side, because for the forensic type of forensic also, you need a credible data, or you need some trusted data, or trusted set of transactions, which can be proven in court or any other legal bodies, which is agreed by all the parties in the network. Suppose I'm taking a server data. So what happens is server lies in one or two places with the control of some entity. So how I'm going to trust that administrator, or how I can make sure that the data is not getting manipulated. Simple example, hope you all have used YouTube, right? So if you're watching any YouTube video, there is something like the number of views, the number of likes, dislikes, and all. Maybe if you're posting some video, you will be checking the number of likes for your video, the number of shares, and all. So where you are getting this data, it's actually from the YouTube analytics or from the Google server. And do you trust that data? Because you don't have any other option. You can't go and claim Google like, hey, this is not the number of views. My video have more number of hits. No, you don't have any option to claim accordingly. You can't tell like my photo or my video is having more likes than your claim. Because it's purely centralized. There is no audit trail on that. If Facebook is telling like this is what your photo is about, this is where you place it, that's all. And that's what most of the European courts are now questioning. You've seen that. Most of the European courts are now questioning Google, Facebook, or other social media platforms, because how you ensure the trust, or how you ensure the transparency of the analytic visual. Suppose I'm posting a video and I'm getting 2 million views tomorrow. I don't know where this 2 million views are coming, or whether this 2 million is actually accountable. Whether it is just 1,000 or whether it is 10 million, I don't have it. But if you are writing something, whether it is audio, video, document, whatever be the kind of thing, on a public ledger like blockchain, you have an accountability, you have a trust accountability. But you can argue like there is data duplication. Of course, I agree with that, because the same copy have to be there with all the parties. So when the number of parties increases, then the credibility also increases. If there are just two nodes, or if there are just 2% in the blockchain, then it is easy to hack. Like you know that. Just what to hack, just 2 nodes. But if there are 2,000 nodes, or if there are 20,000 nodes, the chance of hacking is much more difficult. So I'll come into that. As I mentioned, it's a completely distributed and decentralized network. Distributed means the data is there with all the parties across the world, and it is a complete peer-to-peer network. So, what is internet? It's a network of networks, or say connection network. Who invented internet? Tim Berners. So the basic concept of Tim Berners-Lee's internet was a truly decentralized connection of network, but it was known like currently the internet in the current form which are using is not decentralized. It lies with some of the web server, whether it's from Google or Amazon or whatever be the kind of thing. You are just accessing some web servers. That is a web evolution. Initially, there was Web 1.0. It is a read-only internet. That is, there are some static web pages. You can go to Yahoo or M.Sc or whatever the kind of thing. You can read the content over there. Then came the Web 2.0, where you can read and write, just like your Facebook, Twitter and all, where you can also post your content and you can also read from that. So there is again a read and write concept. And the Web 3.0, or the latest version of internet, is known as the read, write, and own the content. That is, you own your content on the internet, and you can have the complete privilege on your content. That Facebook or Google is not owning your data if it is on blockchain. You yourself can own the data, which is being proved by all the parties across the world. Suppose I'm putting a comment on Facebook, or I'm putting something on Facebook. So after 1 day or 2 days, I can actually delete it, or I can actually mod it or edit it. If someone have took a screenshot at that time, then they can come and claim that, hey, you have a proof like there is a screenshot which was passed to that. That is one major challenge with this cyber forensics on digital media. Like if you have, or if you're going to take some data from the net, you have to prove the complete audit trail, when it was staged, what was the stage which was made. Again, the person can claim like my account was hacked, or I was hacked and my account, I don't have any control. But in case of blockchain, once you write something on the network, you cannot tamper it, you cannot delete or modify that data. Suppose I have put some kind of vulnerable comments in a blockchain network. In a data point of view, I cannot change that comment. I cannot claim like I haven't written that because this was posted with the agreement of at least 50% of this network. So everyone can prove like, hey, this person have commented this or this person have put this data on this particular date at this particular time. You cannot take away that, or you cannot take yourself back from that. Okay. So that is why it's hard to tamper and affect that you have to edit each and every copy of data, which is practically impossible. And that is where the skeleton of Bitcoin network, which was called the blockchain network, gained more popularity in the distributed computing. Or we can tell it as a distributed ledger technology. Ledger means like an open book where anyone in the network can come and be a part of the transaction, be a part of the agreement, and do transactions on blockchain. So let's see that. Unlike storing in a single book or a database, as I mentioned, it is there in the complete network, and it's mostly like a chain of blocks. I'll explain that. That is why the name blockchain is coming. It's like once you have a data, you packet it together in a block, add it to the next block, and the sequence goes. Just like a train, it will keep on adding. Or it's just like a ever-growing storybook. I will come to that. Think of blockchain like a story. Okay? So if you have a copy of Harry Potter, across the world there are millions of Harry Potter books in different languages and different formats. There can be hard copies, soft copies, Kindle versions and all, circulating across the world. So even if J.K. Rowling cannot change the story of Harry Potter, because if she wants to change the story, she wants to record the entire books and do that traffic. And one more thing is like, if you want to read this, if you want to read the storybook, so from where you will be actually reading it? From page number 1 or page number 50, where will be actually starting to read a story? Yeah, of course you have to start reading from page number 1. So that is how the story actually makes sense. So same is the page with the blockchain data store also. So like if you want to have the completeness of that data, you should have the data right from the block 1 or to be fact on the Genesis block or the block 0. So you should have access right from the very starting. Again, coming back to the forensic part, you know, like if an attacker is coming or if some legal player is coming, he or she cannot attack in between, or he or she cannot arrive something in between, because the block starts from page number 1 or block starts from the very first block on the Genesis block. So if you want to be a part of this class, suppose I have started my class, so I've started my session and I'm actually in a slide number 6. Okay, so if some new student is coming, what happens is that he or she have missed the first 5 slides of this class. Okay, so if the student want to cope up with what is currently being taught in the classroom, they have to have the access to the first 5 sessions or first 5 slides. They have to learn that first 5 slides, and then only they can understand that 6. Same is the case with blockchain also. So the Bitcoin network, which started back in 2008, and it have now more than 3 lakh blocks, I think more than 300 GB of data. So if I want to become a new node in the Bitcoin network, I have to download that complete blocks, synchronize with the current blocks, or what is it, the current data block. Then only I can be a part of that network. So you cannot simply come and attack and take away some data or put some nonsense on top of that. You have to be in synchronized with that particular network. Okay, so now you can see, like, even without a feature, how that classroom is working properly. Because within a classroom, you are having multiple ideas. But if you want to do something in that classroom, you should be in synchronized with that classroom. That is, there will be, so it's like, hey, let's go for a movie, let's go for a cricket, or let's use mobiles, something like that. But what you have to do, that depends on the majority. If majority is telling like, okay, we will go for movie, then everyone will be going for movie if you are booked, agree with the majority. But you yourself will not be taking any individual decision in that classroom. You have to follow the consensus or the agreement of that classroom. So this is how the network is sustaining even without any single entity or even without any central authority to control that. Just like think of blockchain as a dynamic storybook, which means that there is no ending phase for a storybook. The story is always growing. day by day new pages getting added, or hourly new pages getting added, and everyone will have the same copy of the story. So if I want to tamper a story, suppose the Harry Potter book is say around 300 pages or 250 pages. I'm an attacker. I want to change the story. Say I want to tamper page number 50 and 51. If I have to change it, I have to clear the pages from all the books across the board. Otherwise, what happens is like this hash values will not. They'll come to the hashing. The blocks will not synchronize, and the attack can be easily triggered. So the cyber forensic will become much more easier. You can easily figure out at which point and what node the attack happened, and what kind of data loss is happening. So whether they were trying to tamper the data, or whether they're trying to put some new data, or whether they were trying to take away some kind of similar attack from another kind of method. So that is how the blockchain as a data store. Till now we are mentioning this as a network, but now you can actually use this network as a data store, and you can ensure the reliability of that particular data. Okay, I will explain in detail. So as I mentioned, the formal definition is it is a complete distributed ledger technology, which was very first used as a backend mechanism of the famous cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. We'll explain this one later. And it's formed in a sequential fashion. Just think like blockchain as a book. That blocks are the pages, and blockchain is a book. That is, pages arranged in a proper sequential fashion, with page number forms the blockchain. So if you want to arrange the pages, say 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, you will add it in a sequential fashion. I will take a pause here. Do you have any doubts till now? Any questions, any doubts? Because I know like most of you will be new to blockchain. Please feel free to ask any doubts if you have. You can ask in Malayalam also, no worries. Because the concept will be clear. We are not speaking about centralized systems. We are completely stating what about the decentralized network. Completely different net. Say, order blocking into that. Okay, for the audience, like in each and every block, whatever transactions are happening, I will come to the block structure. You will have some metadata, select the block number, time stamp level, plus the transaction data. It can be financial transactions or extra data, audio, video, whatever the kind of thing. That transaction data will be stored in the blocks, in the blocks. And these blocks, say the block will be having a size. So for example, if it is 1 MB or 10 MB, once the block is still, it is perfect to that, or compared with hashing, and it will start a new block. I will comment that. So this is the block structure. For a block, there are mainly two parts. First is the header part, and then there is a body part. So header means primarily the metadata. So what is the current block number? And for every block, you have a previous hash number and a successive hash number, or the next blockchain had. Before go that, have you heard about hashing? What is hashing? Yeah, mathematical technique. Please. Why you are actually using hashing? Yeah, authentication is one application. Very good. Then, what exactly is hashing? It's it. It is it's a simple mathematical function which actually transforms the data into a fixed output part. Say the output will be 20 bytes or 20 bits, whatever will be the size defined by the network. Say I have put two, I think in the back side, if you can see, I have put two words. One is cat with first letter capital C. The second letter is cat with small c. So the word is just 3 characters, but we see the hash, it's 20 bit size. And even with one character changing from uppercase to lowercase, the entire hash value is changed. So primarily why we are using hash is like just to make sure that the original data is not tampered, or even if one single bit of that original data is being tampered, that entire data doesn't. I think important thing is one of the most important technique which you use, that is hashing. So if you take a video proof or it's some kind of proof from some machine, you compute the hash over there. And even if some kind of metadata changes, or some kind of values are changing, the entire hash will be changing, which means like even if the video is original, you can't validate that hash in the next part. There is a very big challenge which is the paid by the for. So in blockchain also, how things work is like for a particular block, you compute a hash, and that hash is being linked to the next block. It's like how you are chaining that particular block. So like even if any single bit of a block is being changed, the hash value will never match, and the chain will not propagate. Okay, so just think like the block structure as a OMR sheet where like in the top part you will see your roll number, date, all those metadata thing. So for every block also you have some kind of metadata which depends on what blockchain you're. And then you have the answer part, that is your actual data. It can be financial data like Bitcoin, or it can be textual data, it can be your certificate, it can be your photo, whatever kind of things you can actually plug it together. So once one packet is full, or once one block is full, you propagate the block to the network and start filling the next block. It's just a dynamic process, and the speed and all those things vary between different blockchains. I will come into that later. For Bitcoin blockchain, every 8 minutes one block will be created, but Bitcoin is only for the virtual currency. It's not for a normal transaction. You can do only the virtual currency transaction. But the general purpose programming blockchains like Ethereum and all, there are many blockchains like Ethereum, Algorand, and Near, where the block time is less than 10 seconds or even less than 8 seconds. So within every 8 seconds, new block keeps on adding. Whether you are adding a new data or when your data, the body part is empty, still new block keeps on adding. So think of the attack window. If you want to attack a Bitcoin node, within 8 minutes, you have to attack all the 20,000 plus nodes across the world. And if it is an Ethereum blockchain, like a public blockchain like Ethereum, within 8 seconds, you have to attack all the, I think more than 30,000 Ethereum nodes are there. All the 30,000 nodes across the world you have to attack and tamper the data. So that is the kind of complexity which the blockchain ensures. And that is a value this network is bringing to the system. That is how the distributed ledger network is being used by the system. Okay. So, yeah, how the block is treated. Let's state it with a very quick assignment. I think, can I give a very quick assignment? I just told about alphabets only. Okay, fine. Time is up. Just so here, I am not a teacher. I am also a part of the network. It's a truly decentralized distributed blockchain network. And this is some kind of puzzle which you are going to solve. It's a very big mathematical puzzle, but I have just given a small word. You have to just solve a number of alphabets. So here, there is no right answer or a wrong answer. You can tell 1 or 2 or 18 or 19 or 20. How the winner is being chosen is like, which answer is having the majority votes. So like, I think we have 2 answers, 19 and 20. And I think 19 had the majority. Again, I am not the person to tell which is right answer or wrong answer. There is nothing like a right or wrong answer. Even if you are telling 0 and you have maximum votes, 0 will be the winner. So in that way, you can have an attack on blockchain that is called 51% attack. If 51% students in this classroom are opposing me, you could have just told 0 and cheated this classroom. But that may not happen in an ideal scenario because all the nodes will be completely listed. Okay, coming back. 19 was, I think who actually, you mentioned 19. Perfect. So the entire classroom knows this person has answered 90. And the majority was actually answering the 90. So what happens is like, this person is a winner in this network and he will be creating the block in the network. That is, whoever is having the maximum computational power. That is why the Bitcoin, I will come to that. Whoever have that maximum computational power can win this block and they can create the block. Okay, so there will be a set of data which he wishes to include the block. And that will be voted or that be vetted by all the participants in this club. So everyone have to approve that particular network. But here, in case of Bitcoin, this is called proof of work algorithm. That is, you do some kind of computational work and that work is being rewarded. Say like if you're going to create a block, you are getting rewarded by some Bitcoin. That is how the coin comes into your account. But the problem here is like, you need extremely high power computing machines to compute. So like, if you want to compute, you need to spend some kind of power. Right? Now we are using a brain, but a high mathematical competence, you cannot do that. So if I'm using a laptop, suppose I can generate one answer in 10 seconds. If you're using a server, you can generate 1,000 answers in 1 second. So the mining pools are extremely huge kind of buildings, say even bigger than Technopark and KEPA. There are many big mining pools in South Korea and many other countries where they are using these kind of networks to store that. But there are also networks which do not use these kind of proof of work. There are many other algorithms also for achieving the transactions, just like proof of stake and all, which I will explain later. So this was a very initial algorithm, which is called proof of work. That is, you do some amount of work, which is being validated by the network. And if the network, or if 51% of the network approves, then you can add things into that network. Just like our earlier story, say with an empty classroom, you want to go for a movie or football or whatever with it. So you put it to a vote. If 50% tells like, okay, we'll go and play football, then the network or the entire participants say like, okay, we will go and play football. That's how the network. Because at that time, there is no right or wrong answer. That is what the majority actually. Okay, just like the normal voting vote. There is nothing like a right or wrong. It's the majority vote claims this is a winner. He or she is actually the winner, and this also is actually complete. So this is how the changes are being made. They're like for every block, I've just put a small part of the hash value. So for the very first block, there is no previous block hash because the previous block hash will be 0. That is for the very first block. And all the succeeding block, there will be something like a previous block hash and the current block. So these two hashes are actually changing that particular block. You can see like in the third block, actually this is a period, I have converted the period period. If there is some change happening, say like its current hash is 3FR, which is not properly matched with the next block, then this change will not happen, or that change is actually broken. Just like the story to scenario which I meant. So this is how the blocks get added, and everyone will have the same copy of this chip. Like if I'm going to add something, this will get added. And this is why the Bitcoin cryptocurrency gained that popularity, because Bitcoin was released by an anonymous trader called Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008. So the idea is like it's a complete virtual currency. There is no back, no technology for it. You can just go to the bitcoin.org website, and I'm not promoting cryptocurrency, just telling the history of it. You can just go to the bitcoin.org website. There is a mining software, a normal mining client software, which you can download and install in a machine. All the Windows, Ubuntu versions are available. And in that machine, what you're going to do is that you are giving the computing power, or that you are competing with all the machines across the world. So those who win the mining, or those who win this thing, will get some reward. So the rewarding mechanism is in a way like there are only 21 million bitcoins in that network. You cannot create a new bitcoin, or you cannot take away a bitcoin. There are 21 million bitcoins locked in that network. And from 2008, for every block being successfully mined, you will get 50 bitcoins as reward. 50 bitcoins as a reward in the early day. And after every 4 years, that mining reward will be half. Say in 2008, it was 50 bitcoins. In 2012, it became 25 bitcoins. In 2016, it became 12.5 bitcoins. And then recently in 2002, it became 6.75. So that is how the supply will be controlled, and that is how the value is actually secret. That is why people are crazy about Bitcoin. Say like the very last Bitcoin will be unlocked by the year 2140. 2140 is the year when the last Bitcoin will be out. So till date, I think almost 19 million Bitcoins are in circulation. Almost 2 million Bitcoins are still locked in the network. So people have to feel like this is an open network where anyone can come and join. There is no ban or no central case to control on it. You have your own wallet, just like your Google Pay or PhonePe wallet. You do the computation, you get the reward, and you can do the transaction to whoever across the world. And the important thing is like all the transactions right from 2008 till date is available publicly online. So like if you want to, from the foreign perspective, if you want to figure out any abnormalities in a passbook or any sub-person's account. So like, there was a very recent issue with the PNB in Kerala. The manager was doing some kind of pass practice and it was good. So how a normal man can actually trust the bank? Because those persons who are actually internally in that bank is going to see the transaction. What he actually did is that he actually altered the authority. So like if any transaction above 1 crore have to happen, you should have 3 signatories. But he just changed it because he had the privilege to do that. So likewise, if there is a single authority or there is a single powerful person internally in the back passbooks cannot be vetted, or you cannot trust a back passbook if someone has the privilege to change the passbook data internally. But in case of Bitcoin network, you don't have to go to any back, you don't have to go to any code or any cyber expert. You yourself can just connect to the blockchain network or just connect to the internet, download the entire history. So if my account detail is there, like that hexadecimal number is there, you can know the entire history of the data. So the data analytics teams or the cyber forensic teams can actually build that kind of analytics on top of it so that they can trace the entire transaction on Bitcoin. That is what beauty of the blockchain network. Not only Bitcoin, in all other blockchain networks. Bitcoin was the very first network which is only for the transit. You cannot launch any applications or launch any other smart contracts or applications on top of Bitcoin. But there are other program networks which I haven't explained. So this was the very, very first concept of blockchain networks, which came in 2008. I think you can say like it's hardly 14 years old. It's still a growing technology. It's still in the maturing phases. So there are a lot of issues also coming up on top of this network. But still, you have its own powerful algorithms on the backend side, which will help you figure out this kind of transparency and credibility. So, as I mentioned, how the blocks are added. Once you solve the puzzle, the solution is broadcasted to all the participants, just like as we did in the platform. Everyone know the puzzle, everyone know the answer, and whichever who is actually having the majority, they will actually create the blocks, and everyone keeps the added the effort. Suppose I am absent in this platform and I'm coming back after 1 hour or 2 hours, I cannot directly participate in the network because I have to synchronize all the missing blocks. So the current block number is 100. I am in 75. I have to download the remaining 25 blocks. Then I can be a part of the network. So that is a rule in that blockchain network. And the major difference between blockchain and database, because it's a common query which comes, people always confused how it differs. So primarily, blockchain only have pieces operations. So I won't recommend blockchain for all the general purpose applications, because if you have an application which needs the data to be modified or edited or deleted in a day-to-day basis, or if you want to change the data, you cannot use blockchain. Blockchain is for something which actually demands some kind of credibility. But you know, like in most of the business or in the government transactions, you should have these kind of credible systems, because you're not supposed to change your data, say whether it is your mark list or whether it is your planning transactions or whether it is your personal data. You're not supposed to change the data when it is credibly recorded. So that is the advantage of both blockchain. And replication, maybe you can argue with me. Everyone have the same copy of data, so there is obviously data replication. You need more powerful storage devices. But as you know, like now even the mobile phones are having more than 1 TB of storage. So the storage cost is reducing and the storage potential is also increasing. Nowadays there are CD drives or floppy disks, then pen drives and all. Even pen drives are not being used there, right? You have the Google Drives or you can even store in your mobile. And the consensus, as I mentioned, that is the most important part of blockchain. Like you should have a proper agreement mechanism. The Bitcoin uses a proof of work mechanism. There are many other mechanisms also. So this should work only on the basis of this particular concept, or only on the agreement. Because if this agreement is not working properly, then the entire network will fail. So that is the most important part of the blockchain. But in case of database, it is a normal two-phase summit or a distributed transaction, which can be easily hacked or which can be easily cheated, as we have seen in the battery scenarios and all. And emails, like anyone can actually validate the blockchain transaction. Even I don't have to be a node in Bitcoin network. I can simply download the entire blockchain history, do some kind of analytics, create my own forensics on top of it, and that's how things are happening. I think you might have heard about the WannaCry malware attack happened, right? I think it happened in 2016-17 time. So the hackers were actually demanding the ransom in terms of Bitcoin. And there was an interesting research from IIT Mumbai where because once you pay tokens or once you pay the ransom amount in terms of Bitcoin, within seconds that Bitcoins were distributed to multiple accounts. So the IIT researchers, they actually formulated a graph structure where they showed how these ransom amounts were being separated. So even if you are using Bitcoins for ransom, you can be traced out. Or say, even though it doesn't come under any judiciary or even though it doesn't come under any proper tracking mechanism, but the traceability is being ensured. I would say ensured in a better format than the backs, because if it goes for back, you should have to go through all the hierarchies, and if you can bribe some person in between, again you can see the difference. But that doesn't happen in a blockchain network because it's completely public. If it is a completely public blockchain network, you can't do that. And like as students, if you can devise better tools, if you can devise better analytical tools for that, you can easily figure out these kind of cyber crimes which can happen. So I think nowadays not much crime are happening with Bitcoins or with cryptocurrencies, because they know like even if you do some kind of things on that, you can easily be caught because it is traceable. But in the earlier days when people were not that much aware of these things, most of these malware attacks or this kind of ransomware attacks were demanding ransom in terms of Bitcoins and other cryptocurrencies. Then the researchers started building solutions to trace up that option. So that was the most poised effort did by the WannaCry malware attacker, because their ransom money were actually low at some point. Because this research reports claim like, okay, these were the accounts which are holding the ransom Bitcoin account. So people started realizing this account, and no one started accepting Bitcoin from that particular account. So they were not able to use that money. I have money in my account, but if no one is accepting money from my account or no one is accepting a transaction from my account, just because my account is public, my money is public, I cannot take it away from the network. If it is a physical currency or if it is a printed currency, you can take it away or use it in some other format. But it is purely within the network. You cannot put new currency or you cannot take away the currency. It will be lying assets in a lock mechanism. Okay. So that is one important point for the forensic team, that you can trace out and you can lock the team. Even though you don't have a KYC, you don't know the needs, but you can make sure that that money is not used illegally or not for any other kind of illegal purposes. Okay. So primarily the blockchains are classified into two versions. First one is the current one as Bitcoins. It's a permissionless blockchain, which means anyone across the world with a simple enough fashion can join the network. No need to prove your identity. There is no KYC, nothing of that kind. Most of the networks use a proof of work. Proof of work is a computational expensive thing. But there are some other new algorithms like proof of stake, proof of authority and all. This do not know it this much kind of huge computational power. You have some kind of reduced computational things for that. So Bitcoin was a very fast network. Then came the Ethereum network, which was released in 2013 by a 19-year-old scientist called Vitalik Buterin. So Ethereum, it's almost same as that of Bitcoin. The only advantage is like it is a programmable blockchain network. This means like you can launch your own applications on top of blockchain. That's what KEPA and similar organizations are doing. So like we are issuing education certificates on blockchain. We are issuing vaccine certificates on blockchain. We are releasing the supply chain mechanisms on blockchain, banking solutions on blockchain. So all those things actually work on programmable blockchains like Ethereum or similar network. We cannot use a Bitcoin network because Bitcoin is not a programmable network. You can launch it on your Ethereum network. And then there is a different category of blockchain. I won't call it as a blockchain. It is a permission ledger mechanism where it uses the features of blockchain, but it is restricted to a set of users. Say like if the government wants to use a distributed ledger, or if the banks want to use a distributed ledger, they may not be directly going to the public blockchain network because they don't want to keep the complete data in the public system. So there are something like the permission systems called Hyperledger. Hyperledger is a project by the Linux Foundation. In fact, it have almost 12 projects under the Hyperledger system. There is something called Hyperledger Fabric is there, Hyperledger Sawtooth, Hyperledger Iroha, ET and all. There are different category of projects coming in the Hyperledger, which is mainly used by the permission systems like the banks, the governments and all. Say like we have many banks like Continental Bank, Federal Bank, even Lulu, say all those people using the permission network for the internal settlement. because that data doesn't have to be revealed publicly, so they can use it internally. But whenever there is a multi-party system, say like if 3 or 4 bats are coming together and doing a transaction, they need the trust and credibility of a blockchain network, but they don't want to do it in a public network. So in that case, they can create these kind of hyperledger mechanism. And not going too much detail over it because, as I mentioned, that is not a complete blockchain. It is only a ledger mechanism, a permission ledger mechanism, but not completely open network. Okay. So moving on to the forensic part, which is our area of interest, I think now you have a basic idea of what exactly is blockchain. If you have any queries, feel free to ask. Any doubts or any queries now? മൈനിങ്ങിന് 2 മെയിൻ പർപ്പസ് ഉണ്ട്. ഒന്ന് വിന്നറിനെ കണ്ടെത്തുക എന്നുള്ളത്, ഒന്ന് ആ ട്രാൻസാക്ഷനുള്ള കംപ്ലീറ്റ് ഡേറ്റ ബ്ലോക്കിലേക്ക് ആഡ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞു. അതിപ്പം അക്രോസ് ദ വേൾഡ് കുറേയധികം ട്രാൻസാക്ഷൻ നടക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അതിൽ നിന്ന് ഓരോ മൈനേഴ്സും ഒരു മെമ്മറി പൂൾ, അല്ല പൂളിലേക്ക് വരുന്ന കുറേ ട്രാൻസാക്ഷനാണ്. അത് പലർക്കും പല പൂളായിരുന്നു. ഇതിൽ വരുന്ന ട്രാൻസാക്ഷൻ കമ്പൈൻ ചെയ്ത് ഇതിനകത്ത് ഹാഷ് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കും. ശരിക്കും അത് എങ്ങനെ പ്രോസസ് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, ഇപ്പം ഞാനൊരു കൗണ്ടിങ് മെക്കാനിസം പറഞ്ഞിട്ട്, അത് കൗണ്ടിങ് എന്താ ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ഏറ്റവും ലോവസ്റ്റ് ഹാഷ് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാനായിട്ട് ഇപ്പം ഈ ഒരു സ്ക്രീനിൽ കാണുന്ന ഡേറ്റയാണ്. ഈ ഡേറ്റ എല്ലാവർക്കും കോമൺ ആണ്. ഓക്കെ, ഇതിൻ്റെ ഹാഷ് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാൻ പറഞ്ഞാൽ എല്ലാവർക്കും സെയിം ഹാഷ് ആയിരിക്കും കിട്ടുന്നത്. പക്ഷെ ഞാൻ പറയുന്നു ഏറ്റവും ലോവസ്റ്റ് ഹാഷ് വാല്യൂ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കുന്നത്. ലോവസ്റ്റ് ഹാഷ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് ലെഫ്റ്റ് ഹാൻഡ് സൈഡിൽ മാക്സിമം നമ്പർ ഓഫ് സീറോസ്. അപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ എന്താ വെച്ചാൽ ഇതിനകത്തേക്ക് ഒരു റാൻഡം നമ്പർ ആഡ്, ചിലപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ 1 ആയിരിക്കും ആഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, മറ്റൊരു 100 ആഡ് ചെയ്യും. അങ്ങനെ മാക്സിമം റാൻഡം നമ്പേഴ്സ് ആഡ് ചെയ്ത് ഇതിനെ ലോവസ്റ്റ് ഹാഷ് ആക്കി കൊണ്ടുവരും. അതൊരു റിപ്പീറ്റഡ് പ്രോസസ് ആയിരിക്കും. എത്രത്തോളം ഫാസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഇതിന് എത്ര ലോവസ്റ്റ് ആണ്. നോർമലി ഇപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞൊരു കട്ട് ഓഫ് ആണ്, ഇവർ 8 minutes അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എവറി 8 seconds അത് ബ്ലോക്ക് ക്രിയേറ്റ് ആവുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഓരോ ബ്ലോക്കും 8 secondsനുള്ളിൽ മാക്സിസ് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞത് 4 zeros സ്റ്റാർട്ടിങ് വേണം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 5 സ്റ്റാർട്ടിങ് വേണം. ഇത് ക്വാളിഫൈ ചെയ്യുന്ന ബ്ലോക്ക്സ് മാത്രമേ ഞാൻ ഈ വോട്ടിങ്ങിന് വേണ്ടി കൺസിഡർ ചെയ്തു. ആക്ച്വലി നടക്കുന്ന പ്രോസസ്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ 50 പേരുള്ളത്, ഈ 50 പേരിൽ നിന്ന് ചിലപ്പം 20 പേർക്കായിരിക്കും സ്റ്റാർട്ടിങ്ങിൽ 4 zeros ഉള്ള ഹാഷ് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. ആ കിട്ടിയതിൽ തന്നെ ആർക്കാണോ ലോവസ്റ്റ് കിട്ടുന്നത് അതെല്ലാവരും വാലിഡേറ്റ് ചെയ്യും. ഓക്കെ, ഇപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ ഈ ഡേറ്റയുടെ കൂടെ 2022 എന്നൊരു റാൻഡം നമ്പർ ആഡ് ചെയ്തപ്പോൾ എനിക്ക് ഡേറ്റ്, എന്നിട്ട് ചിലപ്പോൾ അടുത്തൊരാൾ റാൻഡം നമ്പർ 100 ആയി. അപ്പം നമുക്കറിയില്ല ഏത് റാൻഡം നമ്പർ ഏറ്റവും ലോവസ്റ്റ് ഹാഷ് വാല്യൂ കിട്ടുന്നവൻ നെറ്റ് പ്രിഡിക്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല. അത് അന്നേരം ചെയ്തത്. സോ ഹാഷിങ്ങിന് ഏറ്റവും വലിയ അഡ്വാൻറ്റേജ് അതാണ്. ഞാൻ ഹാഷിങ്ങിന് കാര്യം പോകാനതാണ്. ഹാഷ് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാൻ ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് ആയിരിക്കും, പക്ഷെ അത് ഡിലീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ ഈസിയാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ ഡേറ്റയുടെ കൂടെ 2000 ഇട്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഇതാണ് ഹാഷ് കിട്ടുന്നതെന്ന് ഞാൻ പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അത് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് എല്ലാവർക്കും വിത്തിൻ മൈക്രോ സെക്കൻഡ്സ് അത് വെരിഫൈ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. പക്ഷേ ഈ ഡേറ്റയിൽ എന്ത് റാൻഡം നമ്പർ ഇട്ടാലാണ് ഈ ലോവസ്റ്റ് ഹാഷ് കിട്ടുന്നതെങ്കിൽ അത് കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി വർക്ക്ഔട്ട് ചെയ്ത് ആ ഗ്രൂപ്പിലൂടെ എൻ്റെ പ്രോസസ് പോകാൻ ഏത് ഹാഷിങ് SSH ആണെങ്കിൽ ഏത് ഹാഷിങ്ങാണെങ്കിൽ ആ പ്രോസസ് ചെയ്യും. അപ്പോൾ അത് ഡിഫിക്കൽട്ട് ടു ഫിഗർ ഔട്ട് ബട്ട് ഈസി ടു വെരിഫൈ. അതാണ് ഹാഷിൻ്റെ ഒരു മെയിൻ കോൺസെപ്റ്റ്. ഹാഷിങ് ഇഷ്യൂ വന്നതാണ് പണ്ടുപോലെ ഹാഷിങ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന മെത്തേഡ്. ഇതാണ് ആക്ച്വലി മൈനിങ് ഉള്ളത് നടക്കുന്നത്. ഒന്ന് ആര് മൈൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത് കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാനും ആ ബ്ലോക്ക് ഏത് ഡേറ്റ ആണോ, വിന്നർ മൈൻ ചെയ്ത ബ്ലോക്കിൽ എന്ത് ഡേറ്റ ആണോ അതായിരിക്കും ശരിക്കും ബ്ലോക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. റൈറ്റ് ആണ്. ഒരു റിവാർഡിങ് മെക്കാനിസം ഇത്തേക്ക് ആരും നെറ്റ്വർക്കിൽ പാർട്ടിസിപ്പേറ്റ് ചെയ്തു. ഇപ്പം ഞാൻ വെറുതെ എൻ്റെ മെഷീനിൽ എന്താ പറയുക പവർ യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, ഇതിന് എന്നെ കറണ്ട് വേണം, സോഫ്റ്റ്വെയർസ് എല്ലാം യൂസ് ചെയ്ത് എൻ്റെ പാർട്ടാവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ എനിക്ക് തിരിച്ചൊരു റിവാർഡ് കിട്ടണം. ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് എപ്പോഴും ഡൈവ്. അപ്പോൾ ആ റിവാർഡായിട്ടാണ് ആക്ച്വലി ബിറ്റ് കോയിനെ പ്ലേസ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നത്. ഈ പബ്ലിക് ബ്ലോക്ക്ചെയിൻസിലെല്ലാം തന്നെ ഒരു ടോക്കൺ മെക്കാനിസം ആണ്. ഇപ്പം എഥീരിയം നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് ആണെങ്കിൽ ഈതർ എന്നൊരു കറൻസിയോ സെയിം കേസാണ്. ഇപ്പം ഈതർ ഉണ്ട്. കാർഡാനോ നെറ്റ്വർക്ക് ആണെങ്കിൽ ADA എന്നൊരു ടോക്കൺ ഉണ്ട്. അൽഗോ ആണെങ്കിൽ അൽഗോ എന്നൊരു ടോക്കൺ. എല്ലാ നെറ്റ്വർക്സിനും ടോക്കൺ ഉണ്ട്. ആ ടോക്കൺ ആണ് ആക്ച്വലി റിവാർഡിങ് ആയിട്ട് കിട്ടുന്നത്. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ട്രാൻസാക്ഷൻ നടക്കുന്ന ഈ ടോക്കൺ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ എനിക്കൊരു ട്രാൻസാക്ഷൻ ചെയ്യാം. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെയാണ് ആ ടോക്കണിൻ്റെ സപ്ലൈ. ടോക്കൺ ബൗൺസ് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഡിഫറൻറ്റ് പാർട്ടാണ് പറഞ്ഞത്. ടോക്കൺ സപ്ലൈ വെച്ചിട്ടായിരിക്കും അതിൻ്റെ വാല്യൂ ഡിറ്റർമിൻ. ഇപ്പം ബിറ്റ് കോയിൻ ഇപ്പം $16,000 ആണെങ്കിൽ ഇതിന് എഥീരിയം $1,200 ആണ്. പക്ഷേ ഈ ബിറ്റ് കോയിൻ തന്നെ $70,000 വരെ പോയ സമയമുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു എക്കണോമിക് വാല്യൂ വെച്ചിട്ട് കൂടുതൽ ആളുകൾ നെറ്റ്വർക്കിനെ ട്രസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. വെച്ചാൽ ഇപ്പോൾ AWSൻ്റെ സർവീസാണ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. നമ്മൾ ആമസോണിലൊക്കെ ക്ലൗഡ് സർവീസ് കോസ്റ്റ് കൊടുക്കണം. GCP അങ്ങനെ ക്ലൗഡ് സർവീസ് കോസ്റ്റ്. ഒരു വെബ്സൈറ്റ് ഹോസ്റ്റിംഗ് ആണെങ്കിൽ പോലും നമ്മൾ അതൊരു ഡൊമൈൻ പർച്ചേസ് ചെയ്യാൻ ആ ഡൊമൈൻ ഹോസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്ന എത്ര ഹോസ്റ്റിംഗ് ചാർജ്. സിമിലർലി ആ ട്രാൻസാക്ഷൻ പോസ്റ്റ് മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ആക്ച്വലി ഈ ബാക്കിലുള്ള ടോക്കൺ വെച്ചിട്ട് ടോക്കൺ ആയിട്ട് അവിടെ സ്പെൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ടോക്കൺ പക്ഷേ പ്യൂർലി ഡിജിറ്റലും വെർച്വലാണ്. അത് നെറ്റ്വർക്കിൽ മാത്രമായിരിക്കും ടോക്കണോ, പുറത്തുനിന്ന് ടോക്കൺ ആഡ് ചെയ്യാനും പറ്റത്തില്ല, ടോക്കൺ എടുത്തു മാറാനുണ്ട്. അപ്പുറം മനസ്സിലായി. KYC പ്രോസസ് വരുന്നില്ല. നോർമൽ ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ കാണിച്ച പോലെ ഈ ഒരു SRS നമ്പർ ഉണ്ട്. ഒരാൾക്ക് എത്ര അക്കൗണ്ട്സ് ആണ് ഒരു ബ്ലോക്ക് ചെയിൻ ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാം. എനിക്ക് ഒരു ബിറ്റ് കോയിൻ അക്കൗണ്ട് ആവുന്നില്ല, ഈ 1000-കണക്കിന് ബിറ്റ് കോയിൻ അക്കൗണ്ട്സ് ഇവിടെ ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്തേക്കാം. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ബിറ്റ് കോയിൻ അക്കൗണ്ട്സ് സ്യൂഡോ അനോണിമസ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. കംപ്ലീറ്റ്ലി അനോണിമസ് അല്ല, കാരണം ഞാൻ അതിൽ നിന്നൊരു ട്രാൻസാക്ഷൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ ആ റിസീവറിന് അറിയാൻ പറ്റുമായിരിക്കും, ഓക്കെ ഇത് ഇന്ന ആൾ ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽ ട്രാൻസാക്ഷൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്നയാൾക്ക് എന്നെ അറിയാമെങ്കിൽ അത് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റും. ഇനി ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ അൺനോൺ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ക്രിപ്റ്റോ മിക്സേഴ്സ്, ഞാൻ അതിലേക്ക് വരാം. ക്രിപ്റ്റോ മിക്സേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ചില sorry for the lag. So the question was like when he was actually trying to trace the history, he was actually getting stuck with some unknown up. So the reason was that there are some techniques like crypto mixers or peak chains of that, where they will be mixing the transactions together and create a single transaction. I'll come here. I have that set. I'll come there. But ideally, if you're going to backtrack the network, or if you're going to backtrack the block data, you will only receive these hexadecimal value. Again, the problem is like one single entity can have thousands or even millions of identity. You have to create the complete graph of that transaction. So that is no. So I'll come into that. I'll show in that. So here with the interest of time, the major thing which people actually accuse us against blockchain is like, I don't accuse that, is mainly money laundering. That is all the tokens or all the cryptocurrencies doesn't come under the banking scenario, doesn't come under the central authorities or government. So it's outside regulatory bodies. I do agree with that, because currently most of the countries do not have any proper regulations for that. So that is a major challenge. Again, there should be proper crypto regulations in country, because I want to buy something in terms of Bitcoin. I do with a large transaction, the government may not be able to principle, the police department may not be adding that particular. That is one major thing which is currently there. But it's just a matter of fact, once you have the crypto regulation on using the token and the transaction, this can be stored to some extent. And as you were mentioning, there is something called PLC. So PLC means, say, you can funnel out huge amount of money from the networks with some kind of thing that I will explain. Suppose, say, just forget about the Bitcoin network. Say I want to raise 1 crore. So I'm having a savings bank account. If I'm getting 1 crore rupees as a single transaction, the bank or the cyber police department can easily figure out that single transaction, because anything about a huge amount can be easily. But what if I have 10,000 individuals across India or across Kerala, and each of these 10,000 individuals are receiving 1,000 rupees? So 1,000 rupees is a very small amount which the banks will neglect, the police will neglect, or no one will actually. I think like these 10,000 people will use this 1,000 rupees only for my purpose. So like I want to build a new building in the city of Thrissur. So I need to purchase cement, I need to purchase metal or whatever the kind of thing. These 10,000 people will be funding 1 crore rupees from these channels. That is called the PLC, which is still there in the blockchain. Say like if you want to move huge funds, you will move to different account and then sum it up. There are different tools for that. So that is what you are actually mentioning. Say at some point it can move to a completely unknown scenario, which I will come in that. So there is one major challenge. Say like if you're researchers, you can actually go deep into PLC with the interest of time. I'm just mentioning what is happening over there. This can be traced out, but it's a very difficult process. Like you have to create the complete graph to trace it out. And the chain hopping. The chain hopping means, as I mentioned, there are multiple blockchain blocks. So there is Bitcoin, there is Ethereum, likewise Cardano, Algorand, and different networks are there. So if I'm moving my assets from one network to another network, which just means like the coins will not switch from one network to other network. Suppose it's a thing like one Ethereum is equal to 10 Algorand or 10 Algorand. Just assume the figure. So I am having 100 Ethereum with me, which means like equivalent to Algorand, it will be 1000. Okay. So suppose I just hold only Ethereum and this person is having Algorand. We come to an agreement like, okay, I will move my funds to some another Ethereum account. Instead of that, he will be funding me in terms of Algorand. So likewise, there are more than 4,000 different blockchain networks, 4,000 different crypto tokens across the world. If people can actually have these internal consensus, they can actually have the chain hopping. So like I will park my Bitcoin in one place and I will use another token. Within that, I can also split it into different networks. So that traceability will be very different because the entire transaction is happening in two different networks, and how my accounts are being parked will be completely different to trace. This is one another mechanism where the trackers will get lost in between once you're using the chain hopping mechanism. And the cryptocurrency mixers, I think, as he was mentioning, there are some dedicated softwares for that. It's not legal ones. It's mostly illegal ones that the tornado of cash. Since you are researchers in forensic, that's why I'm mentioning it. Please don't use that mixers because, as you know, like what it does is like, if I have some amount of transactions which are illegal, as he was mentioning, so this will combine all these transactions, merge it together into a single transaction. Likewise, there will be thousands of other transactions coming up. So all these money will be summed up and they will do a sequence of transactions. So for example, I have 1,000 Bitcoins illegally in my account. What I do is like, I will move it to a mixer or a shelter connection where they will actually mix it with other 10,000 Bitcoins. So it will become say 11,000 Bitcoin with multiple transactions. And at some point, I will withdraw and hit select 2 Bitcoins or 3 Bitcoins or something of that type until this 1,000 reaches the destination. So that is one thing called the tornado cash. It's a infamous solution for doing this kind of transactions. So this is one huge risk factor if people are trying to do some kind of money malpractice or illegal as that. But I need I won't tell like this is not completely traceable. You can trace it, but it will be very, very difficult. Say like you have to go right from the beginning, not from the last transaction, but from very first transaction. If you come and see it, then you can figure it out. But it may take a lot of time and they have a lot of data affect algorithms. So this can be a big challenge if you want to do that, because there is no transaction exists as a single transaction. Within one transaction, you will be having multiple transactions and you are after get lost in between that clubbing. That's what the crypto mixers primarily do. So yeah, I'll just move to the next slide. If you have any doubt, you can do it. Of course, the VPN service that you want to know, all these networks primarily use a VPN so that the IP traceability will be for the forensics team. Then another thing is NFT. NFT is called non-fungible token or weak collectibles. I think you have seen about the images, videos and all. So forget about the NFT example. Just consider a piece of land. Suppose I'm having 10 cents of land in pursuit and say the 1 cent is costing me 5 lakh. But I am doing just like a real estate map area. I'm doing some things. I am using some Binami accounts and repurchasing the land for a very high price. Say for 1 cent it is 5 lakh. I'm doing a transaction purchasing the 6 lakh. Then the next month it is moving to 10 lakh, 15 lakh kind of thing. And at the end, say at a very huge price, I am purchasing it back to a different account where my black money will be converted, or the illegal transaction will be converted into huge. So this NFT is almost same as that. Just consider my an image. Suppose I had a painting which is costing just 1,000 rupees. I will say different account, purchase it at 1,500 rupees. Again, another account will come and purchase at 2,000 rupees like that. It will be rising to a huge amount of money where I will be using my illegal because of my illegal tokens to purchase that at a price so that I can have a clear transaction. I can claim like, okay, I have purchased this NFT at this place and this is now a legal thing. See it happens with the, the drug dealings also. They're like, if I'm going to give you some drugs, I feel like you don't give me INR or any legal currency. Just go and purchase that NFT at this price. Again, that supplies. Hope you understand, right? I'm not going to detail that. I think this is here for you. So please don't try that. This is one very major challenge. You can't trace it out. You can't trace who is actually doing it. And there is a minor things happen in NFT. Yeah. So one solution is like you have to exercise or you have to need a complete traceability for that. Or there should be, whatever NFTs we purchase, there should be some kind of KYC should happen. And there are some scenarios, some examples also which we share these slides. Feel free to contact me if you have some doubt. And towards just to wind up, ownership analysis, as Steve was mentioning, the owner should be detailed. And the clustering algorithms, as I mentioned with the graph, you will be clustering all the transaction into subparts and you can figure it out. E-discovery is primarily tracking the crypto transactions bit by bit so that it has merged together the transactions. Bridge attack, as I mentioned, with the multiple blockchain networks, say like once from one blockchain to another blockchain, if a bridge is happening, again, that attack chances are high. And the wallet hack, like if you have a crypto wallet, if your key is being lost, just like your username and password, if your password is getting lost, some other person can get your wallet. Same happens with the crypto exchanges also. So like the share markets and the crypto exchange also, these kind of hacks can happen. Some examples, major hacks happen. Yeah, this is all I'm winding up. So primarily educate yourself in these days, or you do business with whoever is genuine and valid, and make sure that you understand it properly. I think with the interest of time, I will wind it up over here. I will take the questions off and I will be available here. We can take the questions off. So once again, thank you all.